What if everything you think you know about Andy Warhol is merely a facade? Beyond the silver wig, Campbell's soup cans, and factory parties lies a man who deliberately constructed his public image to conceal his true self. In this video, we'll uncover 10 astonishing truths about Warhol that remain largely unexplored by mainstream art history. How did his carefully manufactured persona contradict his private reality? Why did he meticulously control every aspect of his public image? From his strategic physical transformation to the surprising activities he kept hidden from public view. You're about to discover the pop art icon as you've never seen him before. The calculated transformation? When we think of Andy Warhol today, we immediately picture the pale face, the dark sunglasses, and that iconic silver wig. But this wasn't his natural appearance. Born Andrew Warhol to working-class Slovakian immigrants in Pittsburgh, the young artist began life with a conventionally handsome face, framed by thick, dark brown hair. By his late 20s, Warhol had established himself as a successful commercial illustrator while seeking fine art recognition. His physical transformation started with nose surgery in 1957. As he began losing his hair, he adopted his trademark wigs. He accentuated his paleness with powder and completed his distinctive look with dark glasses. This manufactured appearance aligned perfectly with his artistic evolution, becoming as recognizable as his Campbell's soup cans, brushes with death, while Warhol's calculated physical transformation made him instantly recognizable. It was an unexpected moment of violence that truly divided his artistic career into two distinct halves. On June 3, 1968, radical feminist writer Valerie Solanas walked into his studio and fired 3 bullets directly into his chest. The attack left Warhol lifeless on the operating table before doctors miraculously revived him. The harrowing surgery required removing his spleen, while doctors fought to repair his damaged lungs and organs, ultimately restarting his stopped heart. Like a canvas torn violently in two, this brutal assault shattered his creative trajectory. His artistic vision underwent a profound transformation. His pre-shooting work, with its playful engagement with consumer culture and celebrity, gave way to darker themes and more controlled production methods. The compulsive archivist? After surviving death, Warhol developed an almost pathological need to prove he was alive. Beginning in 1964, he began obsessively documenting everything, creating an archive that bordered on the clinical. He called his tape recorder his wife and collected over 4,000 hours of conversations, most of which he never listened to again. His Sony Walkman became an extension of his body, capturing countless exchanges with friends and celebrities. His cameras amassed 100,000 photographs of everything from parties to empty plates. Most revealing were his 610 time capsules, cardboard boxes methodically filled with ephemera from invitations to use stamps. This obsessive collection served as memory anchors. As his assistant Pat Hackett observed, Andy didn't trust his own memory, so he created external systems to validate his existence. Cinema as provocation. The same man who meticulously documented every mundane moment of his life created films that most audiences have never seen and couldn't sit through if they tried. Behind Warhol's famous Campbell's soup cans lies a shadow filmography so radical that cinema itself was forced to confront its most basic assumptions. Warhol peeled back cinema's conventional layers. With Sleep, he filmed poet John Giorno for over 5 hours. A man simply sleeping. Empire captured 8 hours of the Empire State Building from one angle. Chelsea Girls split the screen with unscripted factory regulars, while Blowjob showed only a man's face during a sexual act. These weren't provocations, but philosophical inquiries. What remains when narrative vanishes? His techniques, long takes, static framing, deliberate pacing, now permeate contemporary visual art. The multiple Andys, while Warhol pushed cinema's boundaries, he was simultaneously conducting an even more radical experiment with his own identity. The artist who famously declared, "I want to be a machine," took this philosophy to its logical conclusion by becoming a reproducible entity himself. In a pioneering act of identity manipulation, Warhol deployed actor Alan Midget to impersonate him at college lectures across America in 1967. The ruse continued until University of Utah students noticed discrepancies in Midget's appearance and knowledge. When exposed, Warhol embraced the deception as art, rather than apologizing. This practice extended beyond Midget, with factory insiders occasionally appearing as Andy Warhol at events. His deliberate identity play created perpetual uncertainty, foreshadowing today's questions about authenticity in the digital age. The anonymous benefactor, for all his obsession with fame and self-documentation, Warhol maintained one aspect of his life deliberately hidden from public view. While the art world knew him as the silver-wigged champion of superficiality who declared, "I am a deeply superficial person," a select few witnessed a contradictory reality. Andy Warhol regularly serving meals to the homeless at Manhattan shelters. His work at the Church of Heavenly Rest's Soup Kitchen reflected the Catholic faith that shaped his moral framework since childhood. Despite his empire built on visibility, he demanded his philanthropy remain anonymous. As Bob Colacello revealed, Andy made substantial donations to religious causes and attended Mass weekly. He quietly covered his nephew's medical bills and paid struggling artists' rent through intermediaries, preserving his carefully crafted, indifferent persona. The first influencer behind the carefully maintained facade of indifference lay a remarkably prescient business strategist, long before Instagram influencers monetized their personal brands. Warhol developed frameworks that became the foundation of modern celebrity capitalism. His business art. In 1969, Warhol transformed fame into a sustainable enterprise by launching Interview magazine, a strategic platform granting celebrity access while generating advertising revenue. This innovation complemented his product endorsements for Pioneer Stereo and Vidal Sassoon, plus commissioned portraits at $36,000 each. "Business art is the step that comes after art," he declared. "I started as a commercial artist, and I want to finish as a business artist." His commercial empire wasn't separate from his art, but its natural evolution, establishing a template for artists to monetize cultural influence decades before today's celebrities. Queer visibility in a hostile era beneath the business acumen that defined his public persona, Warhol was navigating a cultural minefield. In 1950s America, being gay was potentially life-destroying. Homosexuality remained classified as a mental disorder until 1973, while police raids on gay establishments were routine throughout the 1960s. Despite these dangers, Warhol boldly created a visual language of queer sensibility. His 1956 Studies for a Boy book featured explicit male nudes, while films like My Hustler presented homosexual desire with unprecedented directness. These were mainstream works in the national art conversation. The factory became a laboratory for queer experimentation, where transgender performers like Candy Darling found visibility, introducing audiences to gender fluidity decades before such concepts entered public discourse. The unrealized visions, Warhol's imagination, extended far beyond the projects he actually completed. His notebook sketches reveal conceptual prescience that eerily anticipated 21st century consumer culture. The most striking of these unrealized visions was Andy Mat, a restaurant chain where customers would eat in isolation while watching television screens, a concept that mirrors today's DoorDash and Netflix reality. His entrepreneurial blueprints included detailed plans for artist-designed department stores and an ironic workout book, all decades before such collaborations became mainstream. These weren't artistic fantasies, but calculated business opportunities mapping the intersection of creativity and commerce. Warhol's notebooks from the 1970s functioned as prophetic diagrams of our current consumer landscape, revealing a mind that anticipated our future with remarkable clarity. The fragile frame, the same hands that created cultural icons and anticipated our consumer future, belonged to a body in constant rebellion. Behind the facade of Andy Warhol's carefully cultivated public persona, the otherworldly figure in silver wigs and expressionless gaze, was a profoundly vulnerable, physical reality that few were permitted to glimpse. As a child, Warhol's battle with Sydenham's chorea caused uncontrollable movements, bringing cruel mockery that fostered his distant artistic observation style. His distinctive pallor stemmed from hypopigmentation, which he transformed from childhood shame into artistic trademark. After surviving a shooting, Warhol endured constant pain, wearing surgical corsets and relying on medications. Like a delicate frame supporting a masterpiece, his fragile body housed his unyielding creative spirit, even as he trembled through photo sessions, refusing to let physical limitations constrain his art. The contradictions of Andy Warhol stand as his most enduring legacy. While his carefully crafted exterior suggested emotional detachment, we've discovered a man of profound complexity, simultaneously vulnerable and resilient, publicly aloof, yet privately compassionate. Warhol's artistic output and his creation of self as art define his remarkable legacy. The silver wig persona continues resonating because it mirrors our own negotiations with authenticity. These hidden dimensions enrich his artistic significance. Beyond the deadpan expression existed a multifaceted individual whose vision transformed how we understand identity, celebrity, and commerce in visual culture. What mask might you wear in our image-obsessed world?